You wake before the light arrives, not because you must, but because the world around you has already begun to stir in its quiet, patient way. There is no sudden noise, no sharp interruption, just the slow awareness that the darkness is softening and that the night is gently loosening its grip on the land. You lie still for a moment, wrapped in rough wool, listening. The faint crackle of embers still alive in the hearth. The distant, uneven call of a rooster who seems slightly unsure of his own timing. And beneath it all, a kind of silence that feels full rather than empty, as if the world is holding its breath before beginning again. The air is cool against your face. You draw in a slow breath, and even that feels different here, heavier somehow, touched by smoke, by earth, by the quiet presence of animals not far from where you sleep. This is not a place of separation. You live close to everything, the ground, the weather, the passing of time itself. And so without hurry, you begin your day. The floor beneath your feet is firm, uneven in places, familiar in all of them. You stand slowly, giving your body a moment to wake properly and cross the small space of your home. There is no need for light yet. You know this place the way one knows their own hands. Each step is remembered, each movement practiced. Near the hearth you kneel, gently coaxing the embers back into flame. A bit of dry kindling, carefully placed, a soft breath, then another. The fire responds, not instantly, but willingly. It grows the way morning does, gradually, without spectacle. And soon there is warmth. Outside, the sky has shifted into a muted grey-blue, not yet day, but no longer night. You step beyond the doorway, and the cool air greets you fully now, brushing against your skin, carrying with it the scent of damp soil and distant fields. There is movement here too, though nothing rushed. A neighbour in the distance, already tending to something unseen, the quiet shuffle of animals, the slow awakening of a village that does not rely on clocks, only on light and habit and the steady rhythm of living. Time here is not something you chase, it is something you move with. You begin with simple tasks. There is always something that needs doing, but it rarely feels overwhelming. Not because the work is small, but because it is known. You gather water. The path you take is worn, shaped by countless steps before yours. The ground dips slightly near the bend, just as it always has. You step over it without thinking. The well stands where it has always stood, solid, reliable. You lower the bucket, listening to the rope unwind, the soft echo as it reaches the water below. A pause. Then the weight returns. You draw it up slowly, steadily, the effort familiar but not unwelcome. There is a quiet satisfaction in it, in knowing exactly what your hands are meant to do. As the light continues to grow, the village reveals itself more clearly. Shapes become structures, shadows become paths, and the stillness of early morning begins to shift into something gently active. There's no rush, there's only continuation. You return home with the water, setting it carefully in its place. Nearby, the fire has strengthened, offering a steady warmth now. You add to it without thinking, maintaining it the way one might tend to a quiet conversation, nothing forced, nothing wasted. Breakfast is simple, it always is, but there is something grounding in that simplicity. You eat not for indulgence, but for readiness, for strength, for the quiet understanding that the day will ask something of you and you will be prepared to give it. Outside, the village is now awake, not loudly, but fully. People move with purpose. though never in haste. Each person carries their role the way you carry yours, not as a burden, but as something that simply is. There is comfort in that. You walk the familiar paths again, this time among others. A nod here, a quiet greeting there. No long conversations, not yet. There is work to be done, and words are saved for when they are needed. The fields stretch beyond the village touched now by the early light. Soft gold across green, a quiet beauty that does not demand attention, but rewards it. You step into this space with the same calm awareness you began the day with. And here, the rhythm deepens. The work is steady, repetitive, in a way that becomes almost meditative. Your hands move, your body follows, thoughts come and go, but none of them linger long enough to disturb the flow. There is no need to think too far ahead. The day is here, and that is enough. Time passes, though it does not announce itself. The sun rises higher. The air warms slightly. And the quiet effort of many becomes something shared, even without words. Occasionally you pause, not out of exhaustion, but simply because the moment allows it. You look out across the land, and for a brief moment, there's nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to chase, only to be. And then, gently, the work continues. The morning settles into something softer, not quieter, but more evenly spread. The early chill has lifted, replaced by a gentle warmth that rests lightly on your shoulders. It does not press. It does not demand. It simply exists the way the day now fully exists around you. Your movements have found their rhythm. There is no need to think about them anymore. They happen, and you follow. Somewhere nearby, a voice carries briefly across the field, not loud, not urgent, just enough to be heard and then gone again. Conversations here are like that. They appear, they pass, and they leave no weight behind them. You pause for a moment, straightening your back. Your hands rest at your sides, and, for a brief stretch of time, there is nothing required of you. The land stretches outward in quiet layers, greens, softened by distance, a line of trees, steady and unmoving, and above it all, a sky that has fully awakened, pale and open, with clouds drifting slowly as if they too have nowhere pressing to be. You take a breath, and then another. There is something steady about this moment, something that does not ask to be remembered, yet feels like it will be. Work resumes as it always does, not abruptly, just naturally. Time continues its quiet movement. You do not measure it in minutes or hours, you feel it instead. In the shift of light, in the changing air, in the way your body begins to recognize that the day is moving forward. Eventually, the work gives way to rest, not because everything is finished, but because it is time. You find a place to sit. It does not need to be perfect, only familiar. Food is shared simply. There are no elaborate preparations, no unnecessary steps, just what is needed, and that is enough. You eat slowly, not intentionally, but because there is no reason not to. Each bite is taken without distraction, no rushing, no urgency. Around you, others do the same. There's a quiet understanding between everyone here, a shared rhythm. No one speaks much, and yet it does not feel silent. The world continues around you. A breeze passes gently through. Cloth shifts. Grass bends slightly, then returns. You finish when you are finished, not sooner, not later, and when the moment of rest has passed, the day begins again. The afternoon arrives without announcement. It simply becomes. The light has changed now, softer in some ways, heavier in others. It settles across the land like a quiet presence, stretching shadows just slightly longer than before. Your body feels the work now, not in a way that burdens you, but in a way that reminds you that you are part of the day, that you have moved with it. There is something grounding in that. Tasks continue, though they feel different now. Slower, more deliberate. You notice small things. The way the soil gives slightly beneath your step. The sound of distant movement carried faintly by the air. The rhythm of your own breathing, steady and unforced. Nothing demands your full attention, and so your attention drifts gently between everything. There is no need to hold on to any one thought. They pass through like clouds. From time to time, you pause again, not because you must, but because something within you understands the value of stillness. You look outward, and the world looks back, quietly. There are no sudden changes here, no sharp turns, only the gradual unfolding of time. The afternoon stretches, not endlessly, but without pressure, and somewhere without realizing exactly when, the day begins to soften. The light lowers, not quickly, but noticeably. The warmth of the day begins to fade, replaced by something cooler, more reflective. Shadows grow longer, edges blur slightly. The work comes to a natural close, not because everything is done, but because it is enough, for now. You begin the walk back, the same path as before, yet somehow different. There is a quiet satisfaction in the return, not pride, not relief, just a sense of completion. The village greets you again, familiar shapes, familiar movements. Smoke rises gently from hearths. The scent carries through the air, soft and grounding. You step inside once more. The space welcomes you without change. The fire is tended again, carefully, patiently. Evening does not rush in, it settles. Food is prepared, simple, steady. You eat again, as you did before, without hurry, without distraction. The sounds of the village quiet gradually, not all at once, but piece by piece. Voices fade, footsteps lessen. The world begins to close in around the edges, not in a way that confines, but in a way that protects. Night approaches gently. You feel it before you fully see it. And as the last light begins to slip away, there is nothing left to do, only to rest. The last light lingers, then fades, not all at once, but in a slow surrender. The sky deepens into a shade that feels both distant and close at the same time. The outlines of the village soften, losing their sharpness, becoming shapes rather than details. You remain still for a moment, watching without needing to focus. There is nothing to study here, nothing to solve, only the quiet transition from one part of the day into another. Inside, the fire holds its place, a steady glow, a quiet center. You sit near it, not for warmth alone, but for its presence. There is something about fire at night, the way it moves without urgency, the way it asks for nothing, yet offers something steady in return. You listen. To the faint crackle, to the shifting of wood, to the small, nearly unnoticeable sounds that only seem to exist when everything else has gone still. Outside, the village continues to quiet. One home at a time, one voice at a time, until the world feels smaller. Not in a limiting way, but in a way that gathers everything close. You take a slow breath, and as you do, there is a subtle awareness that settles in, that the day is complete, not perfect, not finished in every detail, but complete in the only way it ever needs to be. You have moved through it, and now it releases you. The night deepens. Time begins to lose its shape. There are no clear markers now, no shifting light to guide your sense of passing moments. Only stillness and the quiet rhythm of your own breath. You lie down again, the same place you began, the same familiar space. Yet it feels different now. Not because it has changed, but because you have carried the day back with you. The body settles first, muscles releasing their quiet effort. The small tensions you did not notice before, now fading one by one. Your hands rest easily. Your shoulders soften. Your breathing slows not by force, but by permission. There's nothing left to hold. And in that space, the mind begins to wander, not sharply, not in long, complicated thoughts, but in gentle impressions. Moments from the day drift through, the feel of the morning air, the sound of distant movement, the quiet presence of others working beside you. None of it asks to be held on to. It simply passes. And as it does, a quiet understanding begins to form that most of life is not made of grand moments, not of loud events or sharp turns, but of these small, steady pieces of time, moments that seem almost invisible while they are happening, yet somehow they become everything. The fire has softened now, its light dimmer, its movement slower. The room rests in shadow, not darkness, but something close to it. Your awareness begins to drift. Thoughts lose their edges. They no longer form complete ideas, only fragments, soft impressions that rise and fall without direction. You are no longer following them. They move on their own. Your breathing becomes the only steady rhythm, in and out, slow, even. There is a quiet comfort in this, not because something has been gained, but because nothing is being asked of you anymore. No decisions, no effort, no need to understand anything beyond this moment. And in that, there is a kind of freedom. The world beyond this space feels distant now, not gone, just far away. As if it will wait for you, without question, without expectation, and it will, it always does. Sleep does not arrive suddenly, it approaches slowly, like the evening did, like the morning will. You feel it in the quiet spaces between thoughts, the growing distance between one breath and the next. There's nothing to resist, nothing to prepare for, only the gradual letting go. The day has already released you, and now you release it. Everything that was done, everything that was not, everything that mattered, and everything that didn't, it all settles, not lost, not forgotten, just set down. Your breathing continues, soft, steady. The last traces of thought drift further apart, until even they begin to fade, and in their place, there is only stillness, a quiet, open stillness, the kind that does not need to be filled, the kind that allows you to rest completely. And somewhere far beyond your awareness, the world continues, the same slow turning, the same patient rhythm, waiting, without urgency. For the moment you return, but for now, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to follow, only this quiet and the gentle, steady pull of sleep. The night holds steady around you, not silent, but softened. Somewhere outside, the faint sound of wind moves gently along the edges of the village, brushing against wood, slipping through narrow spaces, carrying with it the quiet scent of earth and distance. It does not rush. It lingers. You remain still, your body now fully at rest, your breathing slow and even, rising and falling without effort. There is nothing left to do, no task waiting, no voice calling, The world for now has released you completely. And in that release, something within you loosens as well. Your thoughts begin to drift further apart. Where once they moved in quiet sequence, now they appear more like fragments, soft and unconnected, rising gently before fading again. You do not follow them. There is no need. Instead, you rest in the space between them, a place that feels open, unburdened. Time continues, though it no longer feels measured. There are no markers here, no changing light, no movement to guide your sense of passing moments, only stillness and the quiet awareness of being. The fire has lowered to a gentle glow now, its presence more subtle, its warmth still there but softened, like the last traces of the day lingering just beneath the surface. Occasionally, a small shift of wood breaks the silence, a faint crack, a quiet settling, then stillness again. Your body feels heavier now, not in discomfort, but in a way that anchors you more deeply into rest. The surface beneath you is no longer something you notice. It has become part of the moment itself. Your hands remain still, your shoulders loose, your breath steady, in and out, slow, even. There is something peaceful in this rhythm, something that requires nothing from you yet offers something in return, a sense of quiet continuity. And as you remain here, suspended gently between waking and sleep, the world beyond your awareness continues its quiet turning. The fields rest beneath the night sky. The paths lie empty. The homes stand still, holding the warmth of the day within their walls. Everything has settled into its place. Nothing is out of order. Nothing is undone in any way that matters now. And in that understanding, you feel a subtle easing, the kind that does not come from finishing something, but from allowing it to be enough. Your breathing deepens slightly, not by effort, but naturally, as though your body understands something your thoughts no longer need to, that this moment is safe, and that safety allows you to drift just a little further. Thoughts become quieter, more distant, like voices heard from far away, present, but not clear enough to follow. You do not reach for them. You remain where you are, resting in the space between, and slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to drift deeper still. The night deepens quietly, without announcement. The world beyond your walls has settled into a kind of stillness that feels complete, not empty, not silent, but whole. You remain where you are, your body resting fully now, as if it has gently sunk into the space beneath you, no longer held by effort, no longer aware of the small tensions that once lingered unnoticed. They have faded, one by one, without resistance. Your breathing continues slow and steady, moving in a rhythm that feels older than thought itself. In and out. Each breath arrives without effort. Each one leaves just as easily. There's no need to control it, no need to guide it. It simply happens. And as it does, your awareness softens even further. The edges of your thoughts blur. Where once they formed quiet patterns, now they drift, loose and undefined, like shapes seen through a distant haze. You do not follow them, you allow them, and in doing so, they begin to fade more quickly. Outside, the night air moves gently across the land. It brushes against the edges of the village, slipping past walls, over rooftops, through narrow spaces where wood and stone meet imperfectly. It carries with it the faint scent of soil, of grass, of distance. There is something grounding in that scent, something steady, a reminder that the world continues even as you rest within it. Somewhere far off, a faint sound rises, then falls again. Too distant to identify? Too soft to matter? It does not pull you from your stillness. It simply exists, and then it is gone. The fire, now reduced to a quiet glow, offers only the smallest movements, a shift, a soft crack, then stillness again. Its light flickers gently against the walls, not bright enough to draw attention, only enough to remind you that it is there. Steady, patient, like everything else in this moment. Your body feels heavier now, not in discomfort, but in a way that draws you deeper into rest, as though gravity itself has softened its hold, allowing you to sink more fully into stillness. Your hands rest where they have fallen. Your shoulders remain loose. Your face relaxed, free from the small expressions that once shaped your waking hours. There is nothing left to hold, and so nothing remains held. Time continues to pass, though it no longer feels like passing. There are no markers here, no shifting light, no sounds to measure against, only the quiet continuity of being, and within that, a growing sense of distance from the day that has already ended. Its moments no longer feel close. They no longer carry weight. They have settled, not forgotten, but placed gently beyond reach. And in that distance, there is peace. Your thoughts, now faint and scattered, drift more slowly, appearing less often, lingering for shorter moments, until even they begin to thin. Your awareness turns inward, not by intention, but by quiet necessity. There is less and less to notice beyond yourself. And so, you remain here, in this quiet space, where nothing is required, nothing is expected, nothing needs to be understood, only experienced, gently, as it fades. Your breathing deepens once more, not dramatically, just enough to be felt. A slightly longer inhale, a softer release. And with each cycle, you drift a little further. The world grows more distant, not gone, just quieter, as if it has stepped back, allowing you to rest without interruption. Even the small awareness of your surroundings begins to soften. The space around you no longer feels defined. It simply exists, without edges, without boundaries. And within that, you begin to lose the sense of where you end and where the stillness begins. There is no separation, only calm, only quiet, only this slow, steady drifting. And as you continue to settle, as each breath carries you just a little further, there's a gentle understanding that forms, not in words, not in thought, but in feeling, that nothing more is needed from you tonight. Nothing remains undone in any way that matters now. The day has already released you, and you have released it completely. Your awareness dims slightly, not in a sudden way, but gradually, like light fading at the edge of evening, until even the quiet space between thoughts begins to dissolve, and in its place, there's only stillness, a deeper stillness now, one that does not shift, does not change, only holds. And within that stillness, you continue to drift, further, slower, without effort, without direction, until even the act of drifting begins to disappear. And what remains is rest. The stillness settles more deeply now. Not around you, but within you. It is no longer something you notice as separate. It has become part of your awareness itself. Your breathing continues, slow and unbroken, each inhale arriving gently, each exhale leaving without resistance. In and out. There is no effort here, no control, only rhythm. The quiet, steady rhythm of a body that no longer needs to remain alert. Your thoughts have thinned to something barely present now. They no longer form clear shapes. They no longer carry meaning in the way they once did. They drift, soft, scattered impressions that rise briefly, then dissolve before they can fully take form. You do not follow them. You do not reach for them. You remain where you are, resting in the space that surrounds them. And slowly, even that space begins to soften. The awareness of your body becomes lighter, less defined. Where once you could feel the weight of your hands, now there is only a faint sense of their presence. Where once you noticed the surface beneath you, now it feels distant. Not gone, just less important, as though your connection to it has loosened. And in its place, something quieter emerges, a gentle drifting, not movement in any physical sense, but a kind of inward motion, like sinking without falling, like floating without rising, something in between. The fire has dimmed further now, its glow barely noticeable, its warmth still present, but subtle. It no longer draws your attention, it simply exists, quietly, as everything else does. Outside, the night continues its silent unfolding. The fields lie still beneath the darkness. The paths remain empty. The village, once gently active, now rests completely. Every home quiet. Every movement paused. It is as though the world itself has entered this same state of rest. Nothing stirring. Nothing pressing forward. Only waiting. Not in anticipation, but in patience. The kind that asks nothing. Your breathing deepens slightly again. Each inhale slower than the last. Each exhale longer, softer. And with each breath, your awareness drifts further from the edges of waking. There is less to notice now, less to hold on to. Even the quiet sense of you begins to soften, not disappearing, but loosening, as though it no longer needs to remain so clearly defined. There is no effort in maintaining it, and so it gently fades into the stillness that surrounds it. Time no longer feels like something that moves. It has become something else entirely, a quiet presence, unchanging, without direction. Moments no longer follow one another, they simply exist, layered softly, without separation. And within that, your awareness continues to dim, not suddenly, but gradually, like light, fading through a thickening fog, until even the idea of following a thought becomes too distant to reach. There is only the faintest trace of awareness now, a quiet knowing that you are here. And even that begins to soften. Your breathing continues, steady, unbroken, but it no longer feels like something you are doing. It simply happens, effortlessly, as though your body has taken over completely, allowing you to rest more deeply. The world beyond you feels far away now, not just quiet, distant, as though it exists somewhere beyond reach, somewhere that no longer requires your attention. And it doesn't. Nothing does. There are no tasks waiting. No unfinished moments that need to be resolved. Everything has already settled. Everything has already found its place. And in that understanding, there's a deeper release. The final traces of tension dissolve, not one by one anymore, but all at once, gently, completely. Your awareness softens again, even further, until there is almost nothing left to notice, no thoughts, no sensations that demand attention, only a quiet, steady presence. And even that begins to fade, not into darkness, but into something softer, something quieter, a space where nothing needs to be held, nothing needs to be known, only experienced as it gently carries you further, deeper, slower, until even the sense of drifting disappears, and what remains is rest. The stillness remains, not something that arrives, but something that has always been here. You rest within it now, no longer aware of the moment you entered it, no longer aware of the distance between where you were and where you are. There is no transition left to notice, only presence. Your breathing continues, soft and steady, each inhale barely distinct from the one before it, each exhale fading so gently it almost disappears. In and out. The rhythm has become so natural, so quiet, that it no longer draws your attention. It simply carries you further. Your thoughts, once scattered and faint, have now become something even softer. They do not form, they do not linger, they appear only as the slightest impression and then dissolve before they can be known. You do not notice their beginning, you do not notice their end, and so they no longer interrupt the stillness, they are part of it. Your awareness of your body continues to fade. The sense of weight that once grounded you has softened into something distant, something barely remembered. Your hands, your shoulders, the surface beneath you, all of it remains, yet none of it requires your attention. It is as though you have gently stepped away from it, leaving it behind without effort. And in that space, something quieter takes its place. A feeling of lightness, not rising, not floating, but simply unheld. There is no need to move, no need to adjust. Everything is already where it should be. Outside, the night stretches endlessly, though the idea of distance has begun to lose its meaning. The fields, the paths, the quiet homes of the village, all remain in their place, resting as you rest, held in the same quiet stillness that surrounds everything. Nothing shifts, nothing calls. The world itself feels as though it has paused, not in time, but in motion. And within that pause, there is no urgency, no direction, only calm. Time has dissolved into something unmeasured. There are no moments to follow, no sequence to observe, only a gentle, continuous presence that does not change. And within that, your awareness softens even further. There is less and less to hold on to. Even the quiet sense of being here begins to fade. Not completely, but enough that it no longer feels separate. You are no longer resting within the stillness. You are part of it. There is no boundary, no edge where you end, and it begins. Only quiet, only calm. Your breathing continues, unbroken, effortless. But even that begins to feel distant, as though it is happening somewhere beyond you, somewhere you no longer need to follow. The last traces of awareness drift further away, not suddenly, but gradually, like something gently carried by a current too soft to feel. There is no resistance, nothing holds you here, nothing pulls you back. Only this slow, steady movement into something deeper, something quieter, the idea of the day, of the village, of the work you once moved through. All of it has faded completely now, not forgotten, simply no longer present. There is nothing to remember, nothing to return to, only this moment, and even the sense of moment begins to dissolve. There is no before, no after, only this, a quiet, open stillness that does not change, and within it, you continue to drift, not forward, not downward, just away, further from anything that requires thought, further from anything that requires awareness, until even the idea of drifting fades, and what remains is something softer than sleep, something deeper than rest, a quiet space where nothing exists except stillness, and even that feels like it is gently fading. There is no clear beginning to this space, and no end. It does not feel like something you have entered. It feels like something that has always been waiting. You rest within it now, without knowing how long you have been here, without needing to know. Time has fully released its hold. There are no passing moments, no shifting awareness, only a quiet, steady presence that remains unchanged. Your breathing continues somewhere beyond your awareness, slow, soft, but it no longer feels like something connected to you. It is simply part of what is, and you are part of it. There is no separation, no distinction between where you are and what surrounds you. Only a gentle, endless calm. Thoughts no longer rise. There are no fragments left, no impressions, only silence. Not an empty silence, but a full one. A silence that holds everything without needing to reveal any of it. The world beyond this space has become completely distant, not gone, just unreachable, as though it exists somewhere far beyond where you are now, and there is no desire to return, no need. Everything that belonged to that world has already settled. Everything has already found its place, and so you remain here, unmoving, unaware of movement, held in something that does not shift. The sense of self has softened even further. There is no clear awareness of you anymore, only a quiet presence. And even that begins to fade. There is no effort to hold on to it, no reason to. It simply dissolves, gently, completely. What remains is not something that can be named, not something that can be followed, only something that can be experienced without awareness of experiencing it. A quiet, endless rest, the kind that does not begin, the kind that does not end, and within it, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to notice, nothing left to become. Only this, only stillness, only quiet, only rest. Somewhere, far beyond clear awareness, something begins to form. Not a thought, not a memory, only a faint impression, like the softest outline of something once known, now distant, now undefined. It does not arrive fully. It does not ask to be understood. It simply appears gently within the quiet, and you do not follow it. You remain where you are, resting, still. The impression lingers only for a moment, then fades again, dissolving back into the stillness from which it came. There is no reaction, no curiosity, only calm. The space around you remains unchanged, endless, soft, without edges, without direction. It holds everything, without revealing anything. Your awareness does not sharpen, it does not return. It remains distant, softened, barely present. And within that distance, there is peace. Another faint impression drifts through, this time something lighter, perhaps the sense of movement, not your own, but something remembered without detail, a breeze across open land, the quiet sway of something unseen. It passes without form, without clarity, and then it is gone. The stillness returns fully, unbroken. Your breathing continues somewhere far away, soft, steady, unnoticed. There is no longer any sense of your body as something separate, no weight, no position, only presence. And even that continues to fade. The impressions come less often now. When they do, they are softer, more distant, barely there at all, like echoes that no longer remember their source. They rise, briefly, then dissolve, completely. Nothing remains, only quiet, only stillness, and within that stillness, a deeper rest. The kind that does not shift, the kind that does not change, the kind that holds you without effort. There is no movement here, no sense of time, no awareness of anything beyond this calm, and so you remain, not waiting, not thinking, only resting, and slowly, even the faintest impressions begin to disappear entirely until there is nothing left to rise, nothing left to fade, only the quiet, only the stillness, only rest. There is no beginning here and no end, only a continuous calm that does not change. It does not deepen, it does not fade, it simply remains. You are no longer aware of entering it, no longer aware of being within it. There is no distinction left to notice, only presence, without form, only quiet, without interruption. If anything moves here, it does so without being seen. If anything exists here, it does so without being known, and that is enough. There's nothing to understand, nothing to follow, nothing to return to. The world you once moved through, the village, the fields, the quiet work of the day, all of it rests somewhere beyond reach, not lost, simply no longer needed. And in that absence, there is no space left for thought, no space left for effort. Only this endless stillness. It does not ask anything of you. It does not change in response to you. It simply holds. And in that, you remain. Without awareness of remaining, without awareness of anything at all. The last traces of separation have dissolved. There is no you resting here. Only rest itself. No breath to follow, no body to feel, no thoughts to notice, only quiet, only stillness, only this. And it continues, unbroken, unchanging, without beginning, without end. Somewhere within the quiet, something begins to return. Not fully, not clearly, only as the faintest suggestion of form. It does not interrupt the stillness. It does not ask to be understood. It simply exists, gently, like the soft outline of something remembered without detail. You do not reach for it. You remain where you are, resting, without effort, within the calm that has carried you this far. And yet, the impression lingers a little longer this time. It shifts, slightly, not into a thought, not into a memory, but into something softer than either, a sense as though somewhere beyond your awareness there is space again, open, quiet, familiar in a way that cannot be explained. The stillness does not leave you. It remains steady, unchanged. But within it, there's now the faintest suggestion of depth, as though the quiet itself has layers. And somewhere within those layers, something waits. Not for you, not because of you, but simply because it exists. The impression drifts again, and this time it carries the softest trace of movement, not your own, something else, something distant, like wind, passing slowly across open land. You do not feel it directly, you only sense it, faintly and as though it exists just beyond reach. It does not pull you, it does not disturb your rest. It simply passes quietly, leaving nothing behind, and once again, the stillness returns fully, unbroken, complete. Your awareness remains soft, distant, barely present. There is no sharpness, no return to waking, only this gentle balance between nothingness and something just beginning to form. Your breathing continues somewhere far away, slow, even unnoticed. It does not guide you. It does not anchor you. It simply exists, as everything does here. The sense of space grows slightly clearer, still undefined, still without edges, but present now in a way that was not there before. Not something you see, something you are within. A quiet openness, stretching in all directions, without boundary. And within that openness, a faint shift, like the earliest hint of something beginning again. Not a thought, not a memory, only a presence. Soft, distant, unformed. You do not move toward it. You do not question it. You remain exactly where you are, resting, drifting, held in the same steady calm, and slowly, almost without notice, the impression deepens, not suddenly, not clearly, but enough that it no longer feels like nothing. It feels like the beginning of something, far away, barely there, but present and still. You remain untouched by it. There is no urgency, no need to follow, only the quiet awareness that something exists beyond the stillness. And even that awareness begins to fade again, softening, blending back into the calm, until once more, there's nothing to hold, nothing to follow, only rest, only stillness, only the quiet space that continues without change. The quiet remains, steady, unchanged, and within it, something gently unfolds, not suddenly, not clearly, only as a soft expansion, like space becoming aware of itself. You are not separate from it. You are within it, as you have been, resting, without effort, without thought, and yet there is now the faintest suggestion of place, not defined, not seen, but felt in the quietest way. A sense of openness that stretches beyond anything you could measure, and within that openness, something shifts, not enough to form an image, not enough to become known, but enough to exist, gently, just beneath awareness. You do not reach for it, you remain still, and so it continues uninterrupted. The space begins to take on the softest suggestion of movement, not motion in the way you understand it, something slower, something that feels like drifting without direction, without effort, as though everything is carried by something too subtle to notice. There is no sense of time here, no beginning to this movement, no end, only a continuous, quiet unfolding, and within it, a faint echo, something distant, something remembered, but without detail. It does not arrive as a thought, it does not form into memory, only a presence, like the soft impression of walking along a path long ago, or perhaps not at all. There is no ground beneath you, no body to move, and yet the sense remains. You do not question it, you do not follow it, it drifts, as everything does here, appearing, fading, without leaving anything behind. The quiet holds it, the stillness absorbs it, and once again, there is only calm. Your awareness remains distant, softened to the point where it no longer feels like something you control. It simply exists, faintly, as part of everything else. There is no center, no edge, only this endless, gentle presence. Another impression begins to form, even softer than before, a suggestion of light, not bright, not visible, only the faintest awareness that somewhere within this space there is a softness, a glow that does not shine, a warmth that does not touch. It exists without drawing attention, without asking to be seen. And as it lingers, the space feels slightly different, not changed, only deepened, as though there is more to it than before, more quiet, more stillness, more room for everything and nothing at all. You remain within it, unmoving, unaware of movement, held gently in this expanding calm. The impressions continue, though they grow lighter, more distant, like echoes that no longer remember their origin. They rise briefly, then fade completely. Nothing remains, and once again, there is only stillness, only the quiet, only rest. The stillness holds unbroken. Nothing shifts, nothing calls. Only the quiet presence that has carried you this far continues without effort. And within it, something begins to return, not fully, not clearly, only as the faintest suggestion of form, a softness somewhere within the space, a sense barely there. You do not move toward it, you do not follow, you remain as you are, resting, and so it grows, not larger, not stronger, only more present, as though it has always been there, waiting to be noticed without needing to be. The quiet around it does not change, it does not break, it simply makes room. And within that space, the faintest suggestion of place begins to form. Not a location, not something you can see, only a feeling, like standing somewhere open, somewhere familiar, without knowing why. The air, if it could be called that, feels still, not heavy, not light, only present. You do not feel it against you, you simply exist within it. The impression deepens slightly. And now there is the faintest echo of distance, not measured, not defined, only a sense that something extends beyond where you are. You do not look, you do not turn, there is no need. Everything remains soft, unformed, safe. The quiet continues, uninterrupted, and within it, another shift, this time even gentler, like the memory of sound without the sound itself. A distant, almost forgotten rhythm, not heard, only sensed, like something once known, now too far away to recognize. It does not disturb you, it does not draw you in, it simply passes, slowly, through the stillness, and fades. The space returns again to full quiet. Nothing remains, only calm, only rest. Your awareness drifts slightly, not forward, not back, only softer, further from anything that requires attention, further from anything that forms, and yet the faint sense of place remains, barely there, like something waiting, without expectation, without urgency. It does not grow, it does not change, it simply exists alongside the stillness. And within that balance, you remain, resting, drifting, held gently between nothing and something just beginning. The stillness continues, as it always has, unbroken, unchanged, and yet, within it, something begins to take shape. Not suddenly, not clearly, only as the faintest layering of presence, as though the quiet itself now holds more than before, not louder, not fuller, only deeper. You remain within it, unmoving, unaware of movement, resting without effort. And slowly, the sense of space becomes more familiar, not defined, not recognized, but understood, in a way that does not require thought. A gentle awareness that this place, whatever it is not new. It has always been here, waiting without waiting, existing without needing to be noticed. And now, it simply is. The faintest suggestion of texture begins to emerge. Not something you can feel, not something you can see, only a difference. Within the quiet, a softness, layered within stillness, a depth within calm. It does not interrupt you. It does not change your rest. It simply adds to it. And within that, your awareness remains soft, distant, barely present. You do not question what is forming. You do not try to understand it. You remain exactly where you are. And so it continues. The faint suggestion of distance returns again, slightly clearer this time, still without edge, still without boundary, but present in a way that lingers. Something extends, something exists beyond the stillness, not far, not near, only there. You do not move toward it. There is no need. Everything remains calm. Everything remains safe. The quiet holds everything in place. Nothing shifts. Nothing breaks. Only this gentle layering of presence within stillness. And as it continues, there is the faintest suggestion of something more, not yet formed, not yet known, but waiting quietly to become. And still, you rest, unmoved, unaware of movement, held gently between nothing and something just beginning. The stillness remains, but it begins to feel slightly different now, not in a way that interrupts it, not in a way that changes it, only in the faintest way, like a shift in weight within something already perfectly still. You remain within it, unmoving, unaware of movement, resting without effort, without thought, without direction. And yet, something subtle continues to unfold, not forming, not arriving, only becoming slightly more present. The quiet space around you feels deeper now, not larger, not louder, only more layered, as though stillness itself has dimensions that were not noticeable before. You do not explore them, you do not reach for them, you simply remain where you are, and so they exist without interruption. The sense of distance returns faintly again, not sharp, not defined, only a soft awareness that somewhere beyond this calm there is more, not movement, not sound, only space, endless, unmeasured. You do not turn toward it, there is no need, everything remains exactly as it should be. The quiet continues to hold you, gently, without pressure, without expectation. Your breathing remains somewhere beyond awareness, slow, even, unnoticed. Each cycle continues without effort, without interruption, without thought, in and out. But even this rhythm begins to feel distant now, not disappearing, only less present, as though it belongs to something further away than you are now able to reach. And within that, there is calm, a deeper calm, not different from before, only more complete. The faint impression of space continues to linger, not forming into anything clear, not becoming something recognizable, only existing quietly alongside everything else. You do not question it, you do not follow it, you remain where you are. And so it continues. The stillness does not break, it does not shift. It only allows everything to exist without interruption. Even the faintest impressions dissolve more quickly now. They rise gently and fade before they can fully form. Nothing holds them, nothing keeps them, only the quiet remains. And within that quiet there is something almost like depth, not physical, not measurable, only a feeling that the stillness extends further than before. And yet it remains unchanged, still calm, still steady, still complete. You remain within it, resting, drifting, without awareness of movement, without awareness of time. And slowly, something begins to shift again. So subtle, it almost does not exist. A faint suggestion that the quiet is not static, but gently unfolding, not forward, not backward, only deeper, like a breath that has no end. You do not notice when it begins, and you will not notice if it ends, only that it continues. And within it, you remain, held softly, without effort, without resistance. Everything continues exactly as it should, and nothing more is needed. The quiet deepens again, though nothing changes. It is the same stillness, yet somehow more present than before, not stronger, not heavier, only more complete. You remain within it, resting without awareness of rest, drifting without awareness of drift. There is no center here, no edge, only quiet continuity. And within that continuity, something subtle begins to return again, not clearly, not sharply, only as a soft impression, like the faint memory of space beyond stillness. You do not reach for it. You do not follow it. You remain where you are. And so, it simply exists. The stillness does not shift. It does not react. It only allows everything to be as it is. Even the faintest impression of more fades quickly now. It rises gently, then dissolves almost immediately. Nothing holds it long enough to become anything, and so it remains undefined. The quiet continues, unbroken, unchanged. Your awareness remains distant, soft, barely present. There is no effort in maintaining it, no need to maintain it at all. It simply is. And slowly, the sense of space becomes even more subtle, not disappearing, not expanding, only blending more fully with stillness itself, as though there is no difference between them anymore. Stillness is space. Space is stillness. And you are within both, without separation, without distinction. Everything continues without interruption. No thoughts form, no impressions remain, only calm, only quiet, only rest. And within that rest, something shifts again, so gently, it barely registers. A sense, not of change, but of continuation, as though everything has always been moving this way, without direction, without destination, only unfolding. And even that word feels too defined now, because nothing here is truly unfolding. It simply is, and continues to be, without beginning, without end. You remain within it, held gently, without awareness of being held, and slowly. Even that awareness fades further, until there is only stillness, only quiet, only rest.